What's good, and welcome back to another edition of LSU Live. Man, it's hard to believe, but the season is almost over. We're down to two more games, and what a wild and crazy ride it's been. Not the best ride, not the most enjoyable at times, but definitely an interesting and exciting ride it's been this year. You're down to two games, and bro, it's a lot to cover. We got a lot to cover. We got coaching search. We got ex-wives coming to Baton Rouge to scout out the area. We got LSU coming off, wouldn't say a big win, but a win is a win, especially in the SEC. Coming off a win against Arkansas, so you got some positive vibes going. But yeah, it's a lot to get to, and you got your last home game coming up this weekend against Western Kentucky, and Western Kentucky is 8-2. And if you haven't noticed, in this day and age of college football, anybody can lose to anybody. So it's been a crazy year. It's hard to even decide where to start because I've missed a little time, but it's been a lot going on. But I'll start by giving credit where it's due, and that's to LSU on a good comeback win against Arkansas. You beat anytime you beat a conference team, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's nothing to just take for granted. So I want to start on a positive note by giving LSU credit for getting up off the mat and beating Arkansas. And I think we learned some things about this team with their interim coach and Frank Wilson, and you got some young players who are heavily contributing to the at least the recent success of the team. And we learned some things about them in that game. First of all, you are looking at a resilient group. Is it ideal to go down 14-0 against a 2-8 Arkansas team, or whatever they are, 2-7? No, that's not ideal. But if you watched Arkansas this year, you know that Arkansas, their record doesn't really represent. It's not a good indication of the talent level. Like Arkansas has lost close game after close game. It's one of those teams. I don't know if it's a jinx or it's just a bad team because they find ways to lose. They turn the ball over. It's the same story. You got a super talented quarterback over there at Arkansas. Yeah, you got some defensive issues, but you got some good players on defense too. When you look at the defensive end, you look at the cornerback and Julian Neal. So Arkansas has just continued to find ways to lose games, but I won't let that keep me from giving LSU credit for getting up off the mat, down 14-0, with relatively nothing to play for other than pride. Like all of LSU's goals, their preseason goals coming into the season. This is a team that coming out of the spring, people were talking about playoffs and not just people around Baton Rouge or media. We're talking about the head coach. So at this point, coming into this game, they're 5-4. So what are you playing for at this point? What are you playing for? You don't know who your next coach is going to be. You don't know what's coming next. But these guys show some pride and they show some resiliency and coming back from 14 down, 14-0 at home to get back in the game, then win it. Another trait that this team showed was composure. One thing that players tend to do when they get down, especially at home in the pressure zone, because LSU is favored, so there's no pressure on Arkansas. They're not supposed to beat LSU in Baton Rouge. But the team stayed composed. You didn't see people trying to do too much. You tend to get down and you try to do too much. You try to get two scores back on one play, and that's where you get the guy who's trying to break 100 tackles on one play and he fumbles, or a guy who's trying to run before he catches the ball and he has a drop. And I'm not picking on people. It's just the kind of stuff you do when you're trying to do too much. But LSU stayed level-headed, even keel, played their game, and got back in it. So one of the positives that comes from this is the team is now bowl eligible with 6 wins. And is that like a big goal for LSU? No, but it's ending the season on a positive note. We're talking about a team who hasn't had a coach for weeks now. That's going to a bowl. It's a whole lot of programs. It's a whole lot of teams that wish they were going to a bowl. And they have coaches come back. They have returning players. They have stability, and they're in a more stable situation as far as knowing what's up next coming into the spring and looking at 2026. So if you can be bowl eligible with 2 games to go in a down year, it says a lot about the program. So I think that's a positive. It says a lot about the program, and that's one of the things that I think adds to the attraction as far as LSU being an elite job, even with everything else going on off the field. Another positive from this game, the return of Perk. And look, it's not just Arkansas. We heard a lot about it Saturday, how Perkins always shows up against Arkansas, and he has. He's killed Arkansas for years now. He doesn't make plays against anybody else. He makes them against Arkansas. And he did again. 2.5 tackles for loss, sack, an interception. So he showed his versatility, and he showed that he wasn't ready to quit. Perkins, he took a lot of criticism after that A&M game, but he's still focused. He's still playing hard. That's the big point. He's still playing hard. He hasn't given up on the season, even though the championship goals are gone. And he could very easily, especially in this day and age, and I'm not encouraging it, but he could very easily shut it down and get ready to prepare for the draft, because that's becoming more and more popular. It's just an unfortunate reality of the state of college football right now. But he's still playing hard, and he's still, I think, improving his worth as far as the next level, showing that he can cover and he can make interceptions, but he can also be the guy inside, be the block inside to make a tackle in the backfield. So Perkins was another positive from this game. I think the biggest positive for LSU, if you're an LSU fan or you're a prospective coach who's considering LSU, you got a young team that is growing up before our eyes. You got a lot of young players. Your quarterback is a sophomore right now, only playing his second meaningful game at LSU. Yeah, he got a lot of playing time at Mississippi State. It's a different set of expectations at LSU. So you got a young quarterback. You got young running backs, even though it seems like Caden Durham is a veteran, and more on him later. He's still only a sophomore. So these guys got down, they stayed composed, and they made not only good plays, they made smart plays. One thing I like about Van Buren is his willingness to take what the defense is giving him. Late in that game, you got everybody covered, and you don't hesitate. You take off, and you get a first down with your legs, and you don't try to make a touchdown out of it. You don't try to hang in a pocket and wait for somebody to break open for a big play. You take what they're giving you, and you get a first down, and that's a big piece of putting that game away. So it's plays like that show you the growth in these young players. Probably the biggest play or the most impressive play to me was Harlem Berry. We're talking about a true freshman who dominated at the high school level, scored 1,000 touchdowns in 4 years. Yeah, I'm exaggerating, but he scored at will. He's got a chance late in the game to score a touchdown, and he decides to slide and to have the presence of mind at 18 or 19 years old, however old he is. He's a first-year player. That's not normal. So that speaks to your coaching, but it also speaks to your maturity level as a player. To go on about Barry, look, you got a guy who's a true freshman right now playing against an absolutely awful offensive line by any measure. However you want to measure it, however you want to evaluate this unit, it was bad. And you look up at the end of the season, right now he's averaging 5 yards a carry. Averaging 5 yards a carry with nowhere to go. You got to break a tackle to get to the line of scrimmage, or at least evade somebody with this LSU offensive line. So it's very impressive for him. And to go on about Durham, it's impressive for him too to be opportunistic. Durham was the breakout guy last year at running back. And if you ask anybody, you were expecting him. I know I was expecting him to take that next step this year and being the bell cow of the backfield. I've said it multiple times. All conference level guy, all SEC level guy, and he's battled some things. But recently, you've seen Barry take more carries, even getting a couple of starts, and that kind of stuff can cause some guys to kind of go in the tank or sulk, get down on themselves, pout. But you haven't seen any of that from Durham. You saw a guy who was opportunistic. Whenever his name is called, he's ready. And he made one hell of a run to get in for a touchdown in that game. So I want to give him some credit as far as being ready when your name is called and not making the game about him. Looking at it from more of a team aspect and what he can do for his team. So shout out to Caden Durham for that. Again, the Arkansas game, LSU comes out with the win after going down 14-0. You got a lot of young players on this team. The only guys who have really shut it down, the Colin Hurley, Caleb Jackson, Ashton Stamps are guys who weren't getting PT. And I understand why they do that. But the point is, you haven't had guys who expect to have a major role on this team quit. And this is the time in college football when people are quitting more than ever, more often than ever. You got guys quitting on teams with returning coaches, like who don't have any uncertainty looming over the program. So I think that says a lot about the desire these guys have to be here, and that can only encourage coaches to want to come and play. Come and coach at a place like LSU. You got a good core of young players on both sides of the ball. You got guys who obviously want to be here. You've gotten a commitment at wide receiver since Brian Kelly got fired. You've had one decommitment from the class. It's just a lot of built-in advantages at LSU that you don't see in a lot of other places, and that's encouraging because that bye week period, the firing, the bye week that followed, it's like you're looking at it's night and day from now until then. From then till now. Completely different outlook. Thank God people have kind of quieted down off the field. You're not getting a lot of news off the field other than, prospective coaches. So it's allowed the play on the field to kind of come to the forefront. And that's an awesome thing for LSU right now because it's really a lot to like about the job. And it's no secret why people like Kiffin would want to come to LSU. Speaking of Kiffin, all right, so it's no secret by now. His ex-wife came on a plane with some family members or something, whoever was with her, and they checked out LSU, checked out Baton Rouge, and yada yada yada. And that's not huge news for me. It's kind of expected. Right before that, maybe a day or so before she came to Baton Rouge, she was in Gainesville. So it's apparent that Lane is leaving his options open. He is obviously willing to leave Ole Miss. Of course, it's going to take the right situation. And no matter what he says about contracts and money, it's going to take the right price. Because even if Kiffin didn't care about the money, I guarantee you his agent does. So it's going to take the right price to get him. It's hard to really come up with a favorite because you're not really hearing about anybody other than Kiffin. You're not really getting a lot of information, at least credible inside information as far as who else LSU is considering. And obviously, you understand the interest. You look at Kiffin, who's taken taking a program like Ole Miss, who hasn't won a championship since the 50s, and now this is a playoff program. This year, I think, has been a more impressive year than last year, because even though he had so much talent last year and they had a good year, 9-3, he's doing more with less this year. This year's team, this 2025 Ole Miss, does not have the talent that he had last year, and they're one loss right now and virtually a lock to make the playoffs. So you look at what he's doing in Ole Miss, in a state that's not as talent rich as Louisiana, has a second school in state in Mississippi State to compete with. And you're looking at a very high floor for LSU. You're looking at 10 wins is the floor. If he comes to LSU, 10 wins is the floor, and it should be because you got more access to talent, and you've seen the evaluator that he is. I mean, who else was going and looking for a guy like Chambliss at quarterback, a D2 guy at quarterback at a major school, an SEC school, and he's done great. I mean, he's beat out the big name guy. So Kiffin can obviously evaluate talent. He can coach offense with the best of them. So you understand the attraction. Now, understand this. For those who are kind of complaining about the price tag with BK and the buyout, yada, yada, I understand this is a different guy than Brian Kelly, but it's going to be a hefty price. It's going to be a hefty price if LSU is to get Lane Kiffin. You saw a lot of crying and gnashing of teeth at the thought of $10 million a year. Well, it's going to take more than that to get Kiffin from Ole Miss. He's got a great situation right now. If he stays at Ole Miss and continues to make the playoffs, and God forbid they expand the playoffs, he's never going to miss them. But sooner or later, you're going to get a team good enough to win it all, I think. And if you keep putting yourself in that position, if he even gets to a few championship games, let alone win the whole thing, they're going to build a statue for him at Ole Miss. Like, he could really create a lasting legacy at Ole Miss and not really have that much pressure on him, because who else has won? Who else has won in Oxford? Who else has won big since World War II? Not many people. So it's going to take a lot to get him, but is he willing to go? Obviously, he's willing to go. If you are looking for something cheaper, more affordable, sort of a great value, Lane Kiffin, I got a name. And recently, you've seen some odds come out for just for us being the Nets LSU head coach. And a few weeks ago on Twitter, I threw out a name without any inside information, without any information to tell me that the guy would even be interested or that LSU would be interested in him. And I thought that Kenny Dillingham would make a good coach at LSU. I thought that he would succeed. And lo and behold, right now, Kenny Dillingham has 3-1 odds, best odds to be the next LSU head coach. So let's talk about Dillingham. You got another guy like Kiffin with an offensive background. You got a young guy at 35 years old. And you got a guy like Kiffin who has proven that he can kind of make chicken salad out of chicken scratch. I'll put it like that. He'll keep it PG. He can make the best out of what he's got, is the point. That's what I'm saying. OC at Memphis at one point. He led top 5 offenses, led Memphis to 2 top 5 offenses in consecutive years. Built this reputation as a great recruiter. Second year at Arizona State, he won the Big 12 when Arizona State was predicted to finish last. And yeah, I get it. It's the Big 12. It's wide open. Nothing is really going to shock you because it's not a lot of separation. But when you're predicted last, that says a lot for you to win that conference. And not only win it, but go on to the playoffs. And they played the hell out of Texas. Like Arizona State, don't get the wrong idea that they won a bad conference. It's not a bad conference. It's just not a lot of separation in the Big 12. It's not any elite teams. And there aren't any elite teams. And in this day and age of college football, you're seeing fewer and fewer elite teams anyway. So definitely gotta appreciate what he has done at Arizona State to this point. Um, I talked about Kiffin with the contract, and I think it was Moscona of 104.5 in Baton Rouge who reported numbers around 14 mil a year for Kiffin. And whether that's right or wrong, it's in the neighborhood. Whether it's 13 or whether it's 15, that 14 is in the neighborhood because that's just what it's going to take. Florida wants him too. Ole Miss wants to keep him. So you're looking at 14-ish million dollars a year for Kiffin. And that's before you've hired another assistant. Right now, Kenny Dillingham is getting 5.8 mil. That's a big difference. That is less than half of what you would probably pay Kiffin if you got him. Now, of course, it's going to take more than 6 mil to get him to leave Arizona State. He's an Arizona native. He went to Arizona State, so there's a personal connection that comes with that. But it's a big jump from 6 mil to 14. So if you want to approach this thing where you get a good coach, maybe not the established elite name, but you get a good coach, a proven coach, and let's save some money for some players. I don't know. Dillingham might be the move. Kenny Dillingham might be the move. And who knows if he's even interested? I don't know. But hey, reach out. I say it's worth reaching out to him and kind of gauging his interest on it. Because if you can get him for, let's say, 7 mil a year, 8 mil, even 8. Let's say if you got him for 9 mil a year, that's still $5 more million a year you can put on players. And you already got a lot of players who want to come to LSU anyway. You got a lot of in-state players who are going to come to LSU for a fraction of what it would take for an Ole Miss or an Auburn or somebody like that to get them. You got a lot of players in Louisiana who just want to go to LSU, regardless of the coach. I won't say regardless of the pay, but it's not nearly the fact that it would be for a lot of schools. So I think that's an interesting name. Now, just to make this clear, these odds don't mean anything. These are just. It's not like Vegas is setting odds on a game, which they're pros at that. They're pros at, obviously. I mean, you got people throwing away money every week, every night, betting games, betting parlays, and they're hitting it on the number. Vegas is. When it comes to coaches, they don't know. It's a crapshoot. But it's interesting. When you look at it, it's interesting to see Dillingham at the top of that list with 3-1 odds. And just for fun, let's talk about some other guys on this list. After Dillingham, you have Nick Saban with 4-1 odds. And I've heard it for weeks. Everybody knows somebody. Everybody has a cousin or an uncle or a sister-in-law or a baby mama that's talking about they saw Nick Saban's wife and she's shopping for a house and the deal is done and they're gonna give him this much. You're not getting Nick Saban. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. Go ahead and move on. Don't get your hopes up. You're not getting Nick Saban. Saban is a guy who needs something to prove, and he's proven himself at LSU. He's proven himself in college football. And I don't know if it's enough money. And I understand that everything has a price, but I don't know if it's enough money out there that could get him to go back in today's climate of college football and take on that responsibility. When he can come on TV and just talk about the game and still get paid. Not the same money, but you're doing something that's stress-free. You're not running behind teenagers. You're not dealing with the politics that comes with being a head coach. And it's not just at LSU. This is anywhere. So I think that's a long shot at best. Coming in third with 10-1 odds, we got John Sumrall, Tulane. And Sumrall is a guy that's proven. Sumrall is a guy that's doing a great job at Tulane. He's an up-and-coming coach, and whether it's LSU or somewhere else, it just seems like it's inevitable that Summerall is going to end up in the SEC. You got Florida, you got Auburn. There have been reports of him meeting with Florida. Then you get reports that the meeting is not going to happen. But either way it goes, Summerall can coach ball. Now, what I think, and this is without any inside information, I think that the LSU brass probably thinks that LSU is a little better than that. And it doesn't sound good. It's not my opinion. It's just what I think. And I could easily be wrong, but that's my opinion on that. I would be surprised if Summerall ended up being a coach. I think if he did end up being the LSU football coach, then it would be sort of a backup plan type deal. After Summerall, you got Joe Brady with 13-2 odds. Would I love to see Joe Brady come back and be LSU head coach? I think it would be interesting. I want to make sure that people understand one thing. I don't care how smart you are on one side of the ball. Now, it helps if you have expertise on offense or defense. And we've seen Joe Brady excel as a game planner, as an offensive play caller. But it's different when you're the head guy. You don't have the same kind of time to put into one side of the ball. You got a lot of stuff going on, and we don't know if Joe Brady can be a head coach. Another thing that we don't know is if he even wants to come back to the college level. Look, right now, Joe Brady is working, 6 months out of the year? He's not recruiting. He doesn't have to worry about class, who's going to class, who's not, transfer portal windows, early signing periods. We got all this stuff happening at one time. That, look, you can just show up in the NFL in July, run through some mini camps, play a few preseason games. He doesn't have the headache that he would have at the college level. So I'm not sure if Joe Brady would be up for that. But if he did, it would be interesting. It would be fun because the guy knows offense. Now, if he can handle the rest of the responsibilities of being a head coach, that would be the question. So let's check out some comments. Comments are not worth reading. All right. So we talked about LSU's win at Arkansas. We've talked about some prospective coaches, and whatever coach comes to LSU, he's going to need at minimum one quarterback. Now, I think Michael Van Buren, we're still learning about him. I like what I saw against Arkansas. He started off all over the place. Was it nerves? I don't know. Was it just chemistry with the receivers? I don't know. Or maybe he's just inaccurate. But you saw him settle down. You saw the accuracy get better. You saw the composure. And you look up on the year, and Van Buren now has 3 TDs on the year and no picks. So you got 3 TDs on the year, no picks, completion percentage close to 70%. Whether you're throwing check downs or whether you're throwing down the field, 70% is pretty good. Yeah, it's more impressive if you're pushing the ball vertically, but it's still damn good. 67% with no interceptions. And you got a guy who's only going to get more comfortable. For those who don't know, Colin Hurley, LSU's backup, at one point third string quarterback, has left the team. So now, right now, you got Michael Van Buren and you have really Juwan Johnson, who's kind of an emergency quarterback, a guy who played a lot of quarterback in high school, but he's not a legitimate SEC quarterback. That means you got to get somebody right now. You got to get somebody out of the portal. You don't have a quarterback in this year's high school recruiting class. I think it's a little too early to speculate as far as who LSU could get. You got a lot of coaching changes going on, so you're going to have some guys who are going to want to take their chances elsewhere. As the season ends, you got some guys who are going to want to kind of just try their luck. Whether you don't want to deal with taking on a new coach or you feel like you're getting underutilized, whatever the case may be, you're going to have some names to pop up in that transfer portal. Right now, it's just too early to speculate, but whoever comes in, understand that you're going to need minimum of one quarterback in this transfer portal class, and you'll need about 10 offensive linemen because, LSU needs some help there. So we talk quarterbacks, we talk coaches. We can't forget that LSU has a game coming up. LSU got a whole game coming up, the last home game, senior day, senior night, whatever you want to call it. It's coming up against the great Western Kentucky. And who wouldn't want to finish their season against the much revered Western Kentucky Hilltoppers? I've kind of gone back and forth about the SEC going to 9 games. And I understand why they wouldn't for a long time, because who else is playing the schedules that the SEC is playing? Like, what do you have to gain by adding another conference game, another chance to lose? So this is one of the good things about the SEC moving and taking on that 9th game. These late season games, and I hate to even bring it up because all of your Big 10 people, your Big 12 people, whatever, they love to bring this up. Oh, look who they're playing. They're playing cupcakes as if nobody else is playing cupcakes. As if that 9th conference game against Purdue is so stressful for Ohio State. But anyway, I got to bring it up because it's exhausting. You get to the end of the season, you get into the prime of the playoff hunt and the conference hunts, and you look at the schedule and you got Western Kentucky and Rice and a bunch of nonsense on the SEC schedule. So anyway, that's my little rant on that. We won't be seeing those in November anymore after this year. That's a good thing. But yeah, 6:45 Saturday night, LSU has Western Kentucky. And even though this won't be a super hyped up game, don't get it twisted. LSU can lose. Anybody can lose to anybody right now. So don't come in this thing overconfident. Don't get drunk and fall asleep and assume that LSU is going to win Saturday. No, Western Kentucky is 8-2. No, 8-2 with what kind of wins? They don't have the best wins. I don't really know who their best win is right now. It might be Tech, Louisiana Tech, Missouri State. I'm not sure, but they are 8-2. So it's something to say for that, and you got to give them credit. Now, we've established that that Western Kentucky is an actual threat, but let's be honest, they're going to have to kind of play over their head to beat LSU. So what is the path to Western Kentucky beating LSU and pissing off this home crowd one more time this year? The path for Western Kentucky is using their strength, which is offense, to keep the ball from LSU, whose weakness is offense. And even though LSU's offense is a weakness, you need the offense to score. So keep the ball away from LSU. You got a path to a win. Look, Western Kentucky is 22nd in the country right now in third down conversions. So you're in that top third, even that top quarter of teams as far as converting third downs. You got a good quarterback, freshman guy, good quarterback, and Rodney Tisdale. When you're converting third down conversions at a clip like that, that's the recipe. That's key in keeping the ball away from what looks like the better team on paper. What LSU has to do, it's going to be pretty straightforward, is get them off the field. Uh, Western Kentucky, their strength is the pass. They are 11th in the country in passing, even with the freshman quarterback. 11th in the country in passing yards. Now, fortunately for LSU, LSU's defensive strength is against the pass. Unless you're throwing to a running back, we just forget LSU forgets to cover running backs. But other than that, the corners, especially, you got some good safety plays too with Halsey. But the corners have been great against the passing game. So you got strength on strength there, and you're gonna need LSU to show up and win that matchup. You got to get them out the field. You got to see LSU and your new OC for right now, Alex Atkins, continue to tailor this offense to Michael Van Buren's strengths and figure out what he's good at. I like that he's getting them out of the pocket. He's putting them on the move. And that's taking a lot of pressure off this offensive line. Look, I'm not going to beat them up too bad. We beat them up the whole season. The offensive line hasn't played great. But Atkins, to his credit, has done a good job of getting Van Buren out of the pocket. He's not a sitting target. And Van Buren, to his credit, has been decisive. When he sees it, he throws it. And it can be tight coverage, he throws it. If he doesn't see it, he'll take off. And that's what you need. You need quick decisions. You need snap, snap. Hey, look, is it there? Is it not? Let's make a decision. Let's make a move. You can't drift. You can't keep dropping back. Step up in the pocket and take what they're giving you. For LSU, you need these young players to just continue to get better, and they will with reps. It might not look like they're always getting better, especially on that O line, but they get better with reps. You still got a lot to play for. Like, you're looking at a team that's 6-4 right now. You get a chance to finish the season on a high note. You get a chance to go to 7-4, and you go into Oklahoma, anything can happen. The same way I said that Western Kentucky could beat LSU on a crazy night, it's nothing impossible about LSU beating Oklahoma. Do they match up well? No, they don't match up well against Oklahoma in their pass rush. But anything can happen. It's still a talented team, and all of a sudden you could be looking at an 8-4 LSU at the end of the year who fired their coach. And you fire your coach, you have a down year, your worst year since 2021, and you're 8-4. Look, that's a lot of reasons right there to make somebody want to come coach at LSU. So, like I said, it's not a huge game, but it is a chance to go out on a high note, and it's also a chance to make this program and this job more attractive for coaches, but also make it more attractive for players. You got the portal coming up. You got early signing period coming up. You're going to have some guys looking to move around. You got a lot of coaching changes. So you're going to have some guys who are committed right now in high school. They're committed to a school who are kind of opening their minds right now. So there is a lot to gain by putting on a good effort. And showing, hey, look, this is the worst we've been in years, and it's 8-4. So look, it's a lot for LSU to play for, and it's a lot to look forward to. You still got 2 games left. Like I said, a chance to go 8-4, and Frank Wilson is just building on his resume. Will Frank Wilson be the next coach at LSU? Most likely not. It would be absolutely shocking if he turned out to be the next coach at LSU. But I think he has a pretty good shot at staying on staff. I think guys like Corey Raymond have a good shot at staying on staff. And I think probably the most fun thing about watching this team right now is seeing a team that's they believe in their leader. They believe in Frank Wilson, and it's cool to see. It's not always the prettiest ball. It's not always the prettiest or the most efficient game management. But you got a team of guys who are playing hard and a team of coaches who are trying to make the most out of whatever time they have left there. So until next time, I'll see y'all for the post game on Saturday night. Please like and subscribe. Follow my work on the Voice of College Football, the Voice of LSU, and lastwordonsports.com covering LSU. Check y'all later.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.